Earning a huge 3 points, check. Ending the 5-game skid, check. A 1,000% Premier League winning percentage for Steven Gerrard, check. Ending Brighton and Hove Albion's long undefeated streak away from their stadium, check. A huge clean sheet, check. Get a great scotch to celebrate with, Scapa from the Orkney Isles, one of my all-time favorites. If you really want to give me a great Christmas present, find the 14 at the Whiskey Exchange and send it to me. Thank you very much. Let's review, let's dissect, let's celebrate. Aston Villa 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 0. Welcome inside a much, much happier Villa Parlour. And although I'm not going to get swept away by euphoria and emotion, as far as first games of a new era are concerned, it couldn't have possibly gone any better. But I like to talk about tactics. I like to talk about individual performances, statistical analysis. So let's get into it. These are the 3 big issues or moments that defined Aston Villa 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 0 in Steven Gerrard's first game in charge. We'll start with the team stats, and I do wonder whether there's still a premium paid to the expected goals metric or whether or not that left with Dean Smith. I'm sure the new regime will probably still be looking at it, and so will we. But the story in this match is possession. Look at that, 63% to 37 and an 89% pass completion percentage. Now, a lot of people are admirers of Graham Potter. His name was even heavily linked with the Aston Villa job by Villa supporters themselves. But the problem with possession, even if you're very good and you can complete those passes, even away from home, unless you do something with that in the final third and in the forward penalty area, it matters nout. And I found it interesting that Brighton played 54 long balls, of which they completed 61% of those passes. But playing that many long balls tells me that Aston Villa's blocks and their press was effective, and they forced the shift and the switches, which actually gave themselves time to get back in shape and make sure that they were in good positions. That's what that stat tells me. Aston Villa played 39 long balls themselves, completed only 33% of them, but this is the story of this match. You can have all the possession you want. You can complete passes and have nice touches. If you don't score goals with all of that, doesn't really matter. And Brighton and Hove Albion have not won a Premier League game now since September 19th, and that has to be a bit of a worry for them. Now, speaking of the long balls played by Brighton, one of the things I was watching was the front 3 of Aston Villa, because at Rangers, Steven Gerrard played a flat and narrow 3 with a striker and sometimes 2 10s in behind. And you see here Watkins, Ings, and Buendia. Between Watkins and Ings, there's maybe 7 to 10 yards max, and then Buendia's another 15 yards away. And they put good pressure on Brighton, and that forced them into passes that usually were going this way. Sometimes they tried to play it in between and get it in here, but a lot of times it was a switch. And whether that was a direct switch or through a defender or a goalkeeper, what it meant was a lot of long balls, and Aston Villa was able to shift and get behind the ball. The fullbacks didn't support this press hardly ever. It was only when they had possession that the fullbacks were bombing forward. Honorable mention, and this one could probably be higher up the list given the implications, but the substitutions made a real impact in this match, starting with Ashley Young, who came on to shore up the left side of the attacking front 3 before moving into midfield from where he set up the goal. And then he was even blocking shots in the late stages to preserve the clean sheet. Is he going to be Steven Gerrard's Swiss Army knife, Ashley Young? Then you had Leon Bailey, who came on, and his energy and his spark and his pace is always going to cause problems and make defenders nervous, and especially if Aston Villa get the first goal. And Anwar El Ghazi also looked refreshed and re-energized, and he makes the great run that led to the goal. There will be questions still about Danny Ings and what position best suits him and who he should play with and what system that should be. Same thing with Emiliano Buendia, who again cut a very frustrated figure, especially when he came off. It just isn't happening for him right now, but who cares? If they're putting in the hard yards, they're doing the hard running, and they're staying in the shape that they're asked, and they're keeping a clean sheet behind them, then so long as the whole group is engaged, involved, included, and valued, then the players coming onto the field know that they can make an impact. And that's going to be Steven Gerrard's big task here, is to keep the whole squad involved. And he's probably going to have a couple of more that will be returning that will be in contention for next week. Now, this could have been one of the top three because it's been such an issue all season long and we've all been bemoaning it. But the midfield trio was effective today in both aspects of the game. John McGinn was good as a creator, but also as a defender at times. He played some very enticing long balls in particular. Jacob Ramsey, I go on and on about his engine, but also his ability to play the ball between the lines of confrontation. And Marvelous Nakamba, was he the man of the match? I mean, statistically, you have to look at it and give him a fair shout. McGinn, decent in the pass success, 79. That probably could be higher, but 5 recoveries. Accurate long balls, 5 out of 7. Ramsey with an 88% pass success ratio. But look at this from Marvelous Nakamba. 96% pass success with 10 recoveries. That is a solid midfield display. Here's the very best of John McGinn. When he's on his game, he evades tackles and then he drops the perfect balls into his attackers to run onto. Watch Matty Cash. He's coming at the bottom here. He needs to head this ball square along the 6. Look at Danny Ings standing there wide open. If that ball is headed square to Danny Ings, it's 1-0. And Matt Cash has to get that right because heading it on goal here with players in front of him didn't make a lot of sense. Now, on the Marvelous Nakamba front, one of the things we complain about an awful lot is the central midfielder's ability to turn defending into attacking. Watch the first touch from Nakamba here. Tidy, soft. He gets by one and look at the ball. He feathers into Ashley Young. This is what we've needed from that position. That ball there that opens the team up. Hey, fair play to Ashley Young again for making the side move. But when we talk about sixes, it's not just about shielding the back four. It's about playing balls in transition. And that was a great example. Number 3, get back to basics. And we said this a lot during the slump, that Aston Villa weren't doing the basics. And two of the things that really stood out to me, and they're things that you might actually be teaching your 9, 10, and 11-year-olds, and that is, don't dive in, hold your shape, hold your channel, keep your position, and don't get sucked into flailing around and getting frozen. I'll give you an example in just a moment. The other one is reduce the touches. And in that early phase of the game, the first 15 minutes or so, it really felt like Aston Villa was trying hard to keep the ball ticking over, reduce the touches, which keeps your opposition unbalanced. And I have a great example of that in just a moment. Here's a great example of not diving in. Ezri Konsa is in the middle of your screen. Watch what he does here defensively. First of all, he holds his shape here. Look at his feet. His feet are moving. He's not getting sucked in. His head is straight, and he allows his teammates to then fall back. This is the principle of delay in perfect illustration here. Not getting sucked in, and his teammates are able to come back and help out. And this is what good defending is all about. And then on the one-touch front, I've said this numerous times about Jacob Ramsey. Watch how he plays between players right there. And then Emi Buendia with one touch. That's the Emi Buendia we have been waiting for. That's the guy we signed. Great split ball, one touch. Danny Ings' first touch was not very Danny Ings-like. Otherwise, it might have been 1-0 earlier. Big issue or moment number 2. A huge stoppage time save from Emi Martinez, who is he's like an 8-foot octopus. The way he closes down quick, his arms and legs are long, he's decisive, he's brave. Can you imagine if Aston Villa had gone down in first half stoppage time in the dying embers of that half and then had to sit and stew about it for 15 minutes? Here it is. And the incredible thing is, first of all, he closes down and spots the danger at the back post right away, but it's his backhand that gets on this. And that is probably goal bound. I mean, that is just sensational goalkeeping. He just does anything to keep it out of the goal. He's a battler, he's brave, he's decisive, and that would have been catastrophic at the time. And the number 1 big issue or moment in the Aston Villa 2-0 win over Brighton Watkins' wonder goal. And this goal spoke to me an awful lot about the character of this young man who would have been rattled by the dismissal of his longtime gaffer. And in that decisive moment, when the ball was at his feet, he could have played the ball to his right for Leon Bailey, who was standing wide open, a little square ball along the deck, and Bailey probably smashes it left-footed home himself. In fact, a lot of managers would say, well, that's the easier option. Why didn't you just play that ball in there? And it's because Ollie Watkins wanted to take the responsibility. And that takes a special type of player who didn't have the greatest game. It must be said, the ball bounced away from Ollie Watkins a few times in that first half especially. But he took the responsibility and he buried it. And I've said this numerous times, Aston Villa looks to me like a side that has been constructed to take advantage of transitional moments, which this was. And then when they have that 1-0 lead with players like Leon Bailey and some of the others, they could take advantage of the opponent pressing and make it 2-0. And that's exactly how it played out. But it played out because Ollie Watkins took the responsibility. Ashley Young gets a lot of stick, but the weight and the timing of the ball was perfect. And watch the run from El Ghazi. See, he sticks his arm out there. Watch what the other defenders do. They're totally confused. They all collapse. And Watkins says, hang on a second. I see you, Leon Bailey, wide open to my right. If I lay it into your path, you could smash it home left-footed. But he says, no, I'm going to go around this pack of three and bend it inside the far corner. And it's 1-0 game-winning goal. And Ollie Watkins is one of those ones who would have been inked in on Dean Smith's team sheet week in and week out. He's had to reprove himself, and that's not a bad way to start under his new gaffer. We'll wrap things up with these subcategories that we've been watching all season, which will, of course, have a shot in the arm thanks to 3 big points, including the record at Villa Park, now up to 10 out of a possible 18 points. No VAR or Austin McPhee set pieces for or against, but another goal for Watkins and Ings, up to 6. And now 4 clean sheets for Emi Martinez, and long may that continue. Lots of positive things to take away from last weekend. Crystal Palace offering a completely different proposition at Selhurst Park, which has been a bit of a burial ground for Aston Villa of late. But let's see what Steven Gerrard can do this week. Maybe get a couple of players back to select from. And until then, stay well. And as always, up the mighty Villa.